welcome to Life Guidance from Beyond. We're your hosts, Deborah Rogers, holistic occupational therapist, certified trauma specialist, and intuitive healer, and
Jenna Murphy, communications executive by day, and intuitive medium and spiritual coach by night. On our show, we'll be channeling wisdom from beyond to help you tackle the everyday challenges of being human.
So let's explore the wisdom beyond and find new ways to navigate life together. Hi everyone, welcome to Life Guidance from Beyond. I'm Deborah, and unfortunately Jenna's not joining us today, but we'll be thinking about her and she'll be with us in spirit. And thank you so much for joining us because I am so excited. I know Jenna was so excited too to share this episode with all of you. We have a super special guest, Susan Macintyre, and be sure to join us at the end because she's going to guide us on a really transformative meditation, help us get in touch with feminine power. And it doesn't matter your gender, we all have feminine power in us. So stay tuned to the end because it's going to be a pretty amazing experience. So we're thrilled to welcome you, our second podcast guest, Susan Macintyre.
I'm happy to be here.
Thanks for joining us. So just to let everyone know, Susan's a channeler, an intuitive with a strong, I'm going to just put the word very strong psychic ability. She's pretty amazing. And she's experienced channeling anyone from Mary Magdalene to angels, deity figures to ETs. And I've had the joy to spend a time, I think it's one time together, we were channeling together. And she's also a very gifted healer. And she's had many years of experience crafting personalized meditations and affirmations for people. And she brings a deeply personal touch into every session, focusing on person needs. And I've experienced this too with her. And it's beautiful how she really personalizes it for people. And you go out of the meditation feeling really empowered, and it continues because of the affirmations and just the visualizations that she gives you. She is highly skilled in all the clairs, the clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and more. And that allows her to see, hear, and sense energy in a really uniquely powerful way. And Susan uses 3 natural abilities to help individuals rebuild their self-esteem, to regain clarity, and also to reconnect with their inner strength. And in addition to one-on-one sessions and tarot card readings, she also co-leads group meditations with Maria at the Healing Door, who's been a guest with us before, and the Healing Door is in Attleboro. And she creates a really welcoming and transformative space for all to join. So she joins us today to talk more about what she does and also to discuss the topic, which I think is really pertinent in today's times, about feminine power. So before we jump in, Susan, can you just tell us a little about yourself and how you discovered your interest in channeling and meditations and affirmations?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited. So I have been doing meditation and affirmation for honestly most of my life. So my parents, I was young in about 6th grade, and they got a divorce. And my mom started her self-reflection journey and her spiritual journey around that time. And as she and I were so close, she really just sort of took me along for the ride when I was little. But the thing is I've always had all of the gifts. I just didn't recognize necessarily what they were or how to use them, either to my benefit or the benefit of my family, friends, or community, for that matter. But when I was very young, she really started taking me to different channeling sessions. So when I think I was in 6th grade when I went to another channeling session, and the lady looked at me and she said, "You're a channel." And I remember thinking, I don't know what that means. Is that like a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah.
I was in 6th grade. What did I know? So, and then I just sort of put that in my back pocket, and I never really thought about it again. But as I grew older, I found that my intuitive sense was off the chart. So I could feel what people were feeling to the point where I could almost hear what people were thinking. So it was really quite a large gift. And as I got older, for a while, I sort of quieted that down. because it was a lot of information. But as I got older, I learned to sort of let it in, a little by little, and accept it, and just understand that that was part of who I was. But my journey really did begin with my mom teaching me. And what she taught me originally was that words have power.
Yeah.
And I will never forget the object lesson of that. And she would say, but not only do words have power, but we can literally create the reality, manifest the life that we want to have. And when I was young, I remember thinking, well, that doesn't sound right. you know, we are a victim of our circumstance and our world and society and quite a bit of other things. And really, the first object lesson for her was, one afternoon, she said to me, okay, I need to prove to you that words have power. And I said, okay. And she said, tell me something that you are going to see today. And I said, and thinking I'm very clever, I said, I'm going to see a dove. And she said, okay. So I went through the whole day. And then that night I came back and we were sitting in the kitchen. It was after dinner. We were having dessert. And I said, I was right. Didn't see a dove, didn't happen. And as I'm eating this ice cream bar and I'm literally holding the other wrapper in my hand, she said to me, look down. And on the wrapper, it was a Dove bar.
That's great.
And
So it's
I
not how
said,
you
that doesn't
expected.
count. And she said, you were never specific. She said, that's the universe saying yes to you, but it can come in ways that you don't expect.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that blew my mind.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
old were you when that happened?
I was 17.
I
Yeah.
think, I mean, so many times I hear about people who are so intuitive and they have nobody to support them or help them through it, so they kind of just block it. That's so amazing that your mother was actually encouraging you and trying to teach you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was really incredible. I mean, yeah, it really was that she was going on her own journey at that time. And just we were so close that, it was her and my stepfather, who is now deceased, but the two of them were discovering and doing meditation and learning about affirmation and all of those kinds of things. And yeah, and so I just, again, was just exposed to it at such a young age that I was then able to understand it and assimilate it into my own life.
So I can kind of see then how at an early age it was preparing you to
Mhm.
transition to what you do now with
Oh, yeah.
meditations and affirmations. Can you explain a little bit about what you do with people and
Yeah.
even maybe provide some examples?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, thank you.
So, and I mean, again, like I've been doing this forever,
Hmm.
and I've done it with my children and my friend, like really just everywhere I go. But basically, what it is a lot of times it's me either hearing my guides. I now can understand to work with different deities, and angels and things like that. But when I was younger, I think it just came naturally. I would just hear things, I would see things, I would know things. As an empath, I would feel things. And so a lot of times, really what it felt like for me was I would just take a moment to really connect in with somebody. And then I could feel where they were. I could feel where they were in their journey, both emotionally and spiritually. And then I could understand, again, intuitively, either from my guides or their guides, what needed to happen next. What was the next logical step for them in terms of their awakening or healing for them. And a specific example I can give, that comes to mind is one of my friends and I have been friends since sixth grade. And she and I both married around the same time. But what I didn't know is I didn't know that her particular relationship with her husband was a little bit unhealthy. And she got to a point where she wanted to leave him, but was afraid. So she wasn't sure what he would do. She wasn't sure what would happen, what the consequences might be. She had a young son. And she finally came to me and confided in me about the relationship. And I thought, okay. And I said to her, I'm going to help you with this. And I said, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to provide you affirmations, and you're going to say these every single day, at least 10 times a day out loud. And then we're going to get together and we're going to do a little meditative, thing where we're going to sort of talk it through and do some breathing. And I did that. And I talked to her literally like almost every other day for probably, I don't know how many months. And then it got to be a little bit further apart. Then it was not every day, but every week. And then it was every couple weeks. But I would, as she changed, I would alter those affirmations. So, and basically what it did was it gave her the courage to go. And, she credits me to this day with, the courage that I changed her life in such a profound way in terms of helping her help herself, where she was able to find the courage to leave him and fight for her son. And she ended up getting full custody of her son. But maybe I want to say maybe a month into all of it, it was so funny because she called me up and she said, everybody at work keeps asking me, did I lose weight? Did I change my hair? She's like, literally the only thing I'm doing are the affirmations.
Yeah.
But she felt different. And so her energy was different. So people were perceiving her differently.
Right.
And once she was able to sort of heal parts of herself, she actually ended up reconnecting with an old love. They are happily married today. So it's a happy story and a happy ending. And she was able to find a true partner for herself. And yeah, it was just, but the ability to be able to go inward and find that courage that she didn't even know she had, and she
Yeah.
didn't know she had access to. So that was just me basically helping her realize her own power.
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah, that's really powerful because think about if she didn't have that courage or didn't come in contact really with reclaiming that power of hers, she would have had a completely different life.
that's correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that wasn't even coinciding to all the full potential of what she could have. Yeah. So when you're working with someone, are you always hearing or working with the angels or a deity or ET with every time, or are you working with just your higher self sometimes? Does it even matter? It's just
Yeah,
how does
it
that
just
work?
honestly, I would have to say that it doesn't necessarily matter, and it's really specific to each person. So it just depends on what that person needs, what that person. And so one of the things that I'm able to do now is sort of figure out their lifelines in terms of different lives that they've had to understand where their lessons are. But then I can call in specific people if I need to.
Wow.
If I've, go ahead.
I was saying, how do you do that? Do you see a lifeline, or that's really fascinating?
Yeah. Yeah. So when I tap into them, I'm able to then a lot of times get glimpses of them in past lives, and more specifically, strengths or weaknesses in those lives, or things, large lessons that they wanted to learn, or lessons that might be carried over into this life. So then once I can tap into that, then I can see, who on the panel might be best equipped to help them,
Yeah.
and then I sort of tap in that way.
Wow, that's amazing. You come up with some really beautiful meditations.
Thank
How
you.
do you feel like it's channeled, or it just comes to you like this is the type of meditation a person needs, or do you tend to stick to a few meditations that you use with several people? How does that work?
Generally, I get a feeling about what I think they need to hear, what I think would be the most beneficial for them. And then I've always had an amazing imagination. And then what I do is I try and figure out where do I think would be the most beneficial for the scene. And then I kind of go from there.
What's the difference between an affirmation versus a thought versus an intention?
I was taught from when I was young is an affirmation is literally you're putting in your order.
Mhm.
When you speak your affirmation out loud, that is a more powerful tool than even just a thought, but they all kind of go together because usually what it is the affirmation is the outward intention, right? Because there has to be an outward action. So they all kind of go together, and you want to get them all going in the same direction in order to be able to manifest what you want. So creating the reality that you want, creating the life that you want, it all comes from having them all working together. And again, the affirmation piece is because a lot of times you can have a lot of different thoughts, right? You can have
Yeah,
sabotaging thoughts.
right.
And as long as you are speaking the affirmations out loud, you are still putting your intention behind that affirmation out into the universe. And the universe's answer is always yes. It's just we have to know what question to ask.
This is what I'm thinking as a metaphor. So I want to go to McDonald's and get some fries. That's my thought.
Yep.
And then I set the intention and I go to McDonald's and then I actually go through the drive-through, say, I want fries, please my order. And that's kind of like the
Yeah.
affirmation. So
I
then
would say that that's a very good. Yeah, I'd say that's really good. Yeah. Absolutely.
so through your work, you've told me recently how you've been getting this calling where you're evolving to helping people connect more to their divine feminine parts of
Yes.
them. Can you tell us just a little about how about this transition and maybe even is this helpful for men or too, or are you working mainly with women?
Yeah, so I would say that probably that's one of my callings. And I would say that it's not so much of a transition, more of reclaiming. When I was in sixth grade, I remember I wrote a paper and it was about women. And I remember thinking, oh, it's funny now, but at that time, I had written how women have everything they need.
Hmm.
Why would we need a man?
Hmm.
And that was the whole paper, was literally like, we have everything. We are the creators. You know what I mean? We are the divine creators. Why would we need men? So of course, as I grew older, I certainly understand that explanation a little bit better now. I have a bigger worldview.
Hmm.
And so I would say that I've always been called to give women a voice.
Hmm.
So in that sense.
Hmm.
But in terms of the divine feminine, I absolutely believe that it lives within all of us. I have two sons, and everything that I have learned, I teach them.
Hmm.
And you can see it in the world. Like people come up to me and they're like, oh my gosh, your boys are amazing. They
Hmm.
are extraordinary. So it really is that we all have that. And it's finding the balance between us. It's
Hmm.
finding the balance within ourselves
Yeah.
of both the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Because once they are in harmony with each other, balanced with each other, then we really become the creators of our lives, our world, our universe.
Yeah.
And when one is out of alignment, you can definitely see that and you can
Yeah.
definitely feel that. But
Yeah.
it's definitely for both.
Yeah, and I agree. The law of balance, everything requires balance, and that includes people. And I feel
Yeah.
sometimes people feel an identity loss, and maybe because they're not connected to that
Yes.
part of them as
Yes.
much. And society plays roles with that too, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, it's been a little bit off kilter that, patriarchy. I think it's thrown it a little bit off kilter. It's written history, tried to rewrite roles, gender roles for men and women frankly, they just don't fit. They don't fit how we are as
Yeah.
humans.
Right. So this is a great time to transition talking about feminine power because the second time we worked together and we're channeling together, I connected to Didi that you had mentioned, and I've never gone to realms before, but it was the most powerful experience where I was shown this realm that was just green and earthy, and there were trees, and I kept hearing, connect to the roots and seeing roots everywhere. And I kept thinking, oh, these roots are so important. And at first I felt, oh, maybe the roots are important because it's grounding. But then later I realized it's roots, it's women's roots, roots to the feminine power. And, the archetype of feminine energy is known more as compassionate and nurturing and kind and maybe even quiet, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times we think of Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, like this. And we think of women as, like this is this archetype. But what I was shown is that that's only half of feminine energy. And it was so amazing because I was taken back to eons ago. And I was shown history when true feminine power was taken away. And it was like seemingly split from women. And then I felt this indescribable power that I am still telling people about because I cannot explain this power that I have never felt before. And I heard that they were telling me that feminine power, it's like the feminine power of creation.
Yes.
right? Like the creation of earth, which there's this ability to not just create, it's this ability to heal.
Yeah.
And they were saying it's beyond just creating a child. And when you think of earth, earth creates trees and it creates fruit and food to nurture basically the world, all living creatures. And we have our roots are part of this power of creation. And then I was told, don't ever use feminine energy again as a phrase. Use feminine power
Yeah.
because that's what we need to reclaim. That's what it truly is. It's not just this energy of compassion, it is this true power where we can create and we can heal. And it's really a time to reclaim it. Um, like it was utterly indescribable to think, wow, there's this power we all have that I had no idea, and it's like beyond manifesting even. So I guess in your opinion, what does feminine power truly mean, or what does it mean to you? Is it about nurturing or assertiveness or wisdom or something else?
Well, honestly, I think it's literally what you just described.
Hmm.
So, what I experienced, and I also experienced that same thing, and it was very powerful, really incredible, and yeah. But it's really about all of it. It's about a whole picture. It's not about any one aspect or any one thing, right? It is showing us that we are the manifestors. I mean, this is like world creation. This is like the Big Bang.
Yeah, it's yeah,
That's
it's
what it
way
is. It's
beyond.
that
Right.
powerful.
Yeah.
Yes. It's everything you said, but all of that. And
Hmm.
it's recognizing that in ourselves to realize that we have the power to create whatever we want, whatever world we want to have. We have the power to do that and to heal ourselves, to heal each other, to teach ourselves, to teach each other. Um,
Yeah, and I think it's hard, to explain to listeners. It's really got to be felt, right? Which you're going to guide us through a meditation so we can tap into that. But it's so important to know that just because perhaps, it was lost eons
yeah.
and eons ago, it's really within us still.
It
It's just
really
tapping
is.
into it. And
Yes,
it's
it really is. Yeah, it's really a remembrance and a reclaiming because it's not gone. It really is inside all of us. So many times when I'm in session with people, that's what I'm trying to get at. I'm trying to help them remember that how powerful they are in their own lives and for the things that they can create for themselves. And then your life becomes magical.
I love that word, magical. And what they were showing me is very similar to what you're talking about your sons, because you're teaching them feminine power, is that even Jesus, it wasn't all male energy. He had what I was being told is the balance
Oh,
of
yeah.
feminine power and masculine power and energy. And so he was able to draw upon the gifts from both,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah. I definitely feel that too.
yeah.
Yes, without a doubt.
So, how do you think modern societies view of femininity, like align or conflicts with like the ancient depictions of feminine power that we're talking about?
Well, I think so much of it has been lost. Do you know what I mean? But I do see sparks of it. Okay. So I see sparks of it in terms of women beginning to recognize and take back their power. So when you think about like the 4B movement.
But can you just briefly explain the movement you just mentioned, just for people who may have forgot or don't
Oh,
know
yes.
about it?
So the 4B movement, it actually started out, I believe it was in the Philippines. I could be wrong. It might be Malaysia. I'm not 100% sure. But basically what happened is some of the women over there
Mhm.
decided that they didn't want to share intimacy with men because they didn't want to be controlled in any way. They wanted to have agency over themselves. So
Mhm.
what they decided was um, no sexual relations whatsoever
Mhm.
with men. And they just stopped.
Mhm.
And funny enough, like it became a collective decision and
Mhm.
then a collective movement.
Mhm.
So when you think about that, like that's a little bit of a small step of remembering, wait a second, I have agency over myself. I decide what I do, what things are in my life, what people are in my life. A lot of well, young and old, whoever decides. And it can be women or men or non-binary, doesn't matter. But it's basically someone's right and decision to decide who they may or may not want to be intimate with. And with, Roe v. Wade being overturned, it's a very scary time for anyone with reproductive organs at
Yeah.
this time. So they really want to think about cause and effect and consequence. And they really want to be thoughtful and mindful about who they may be wanting to share themselves with. And the 4B movement come over to America. And literally, I know some close family members that have adopted that for themselves. And I thought, well, good for you, where they said, it's scary now, if we could get pregnant, and then there might be an issue, and then all of a sudden I could be arrested,
Like a
so
miscarriage, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I thought, well, I think that that's really kind of brilliant,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
to take a look at the landscape and look at yourself and decide what's best for you. And I'm 100% for people deciding what's best for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
thank you for explaining that. Um, because I think it's so important people finding their way, whatever works for them, to help feel
Yeah.
powerful. And
Yeah.
it's pretty amazing that became a worldwide movement because
It
it's
really
showing
did.
women are really wanting to feel their power again and reclaim their power.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even just that movement alone just made me rethink everything.
There is a power within us that it's like this flame, and we just need to figure out how to turn that burner up, right?
Yeah. And here's the other part about that is as we grow older, I do understand that younger women and myself when I was younger feared growing older or
Yeah.
becoming less attractive and because of a lot of societal rules around
Right.
that. And as I'm growing older, I'm really finding there's more of a freedom here and the ability to reclaim that a different power than we ever even realize.
Yeah. So, how can women and men tap into their own sense of feminine power, especially in a world that offers that often undervalues or misrepresents it?
Yeah. I think a lot of it is going inward. I mean, honestly, going inward to go upward. I think it is, tapping into our own inner divinity and understanding more about ourselves. And when we do that, we're able to really be our most authentic self and show up that way. And then when we show up that way, our vibration changes. And I believe that it's a little bit like throwing, a pebble in a pond.
Hmm. We're saying the phrase feminine power, but do you think there's some common misperceptions of even that phrase?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
I would say specifically in a patriarchy society, feminine power, they always think that it's, negating masculine power.
Hmm.
But in effect, it's not. It's really bringing them both into balance and having
Right.
both available and accessing both of them. I mean, that's really what it's about. But the misconception, 110%, is that, oh, if we give women or if we acknowledge feminine power,
Hmm.
then of course that would be a decrease of masculine power
Hmm.
when it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes when um, women present with this feminine power, they're almost looked down upon as that person's too pushy, that person's annoying.
And again, that is a view specifically from a patriarchal society. Absolutely 100%. Where they have decided gender roles. And gender roles play a huge part in the misconception on both sides, right?
Mhm.
Like men can't cry or men have to be strong, right? Because when you have a well-adjusted man, absolutely cry and be upset and express himself.
With his emotions. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, and quite frankly, what we need are more men that are getting in touch with their emotional side so that their EQs can rise. The one thing that like I get comments on all the time for both of my boys is that their emotionals are off the chart. But what it is it's just the practice of them being in touch with that
Mhm.
side of themselves
Mhm.
and them being able to let that side of themselves grow and flourish. That's all it was.
Mhm.
It was basically shining a light on something they already owned.
We tend to think of it as all or nothing. The masculine energy that's more aggressive, the feminine energy that's more like caring and not as loud. But it both men and women, like all of us, need to really feel that balance with it. And it's very beautiful when you're getting in touch with both sides of yourself
Yeah,
because you start feeling more whole,
you do.
no matter what your gender is, right?
Relationships that you end up having from that
Hmm.
are so fulfilling,
Hmm.
right? Because
Right.
men want to be loved and be seen, just like women want to be loved and be seen.
Right.
And when you're able to balance those out, you're able to have a relationship that really feeds your soul
Hmm.
for both people.
Hmm.
And then it's, again, magic.
Yeah. Yeah. I know we mentioned before how just with this social justice movement, we are starting to see resurgence of the importance of feminine power. But I'm curious, do you feel like more men are also trying to get in touch with their emotions or feel that connection? Or
So I feel like it's generational, to be honest with you. Like the younger generations are a little bit split.
hmm.
I think that some of the men that didn't have access or didn't understand that they had the agency within themselves to grow that part of themselves
Hmm.
might be stifling it, and some might be allowing it to flourish. So I think like in both of my son's generation, Gen Z, I think I'm seeing it on both sides. I think I'm seeing more men become in touch with their emotional side and the feminine power side of them, where they're really able to be a more balanced person. So I do see that a lot more in Gen Z. And what I found is sort of like we all have our own way of connecting in,
Hmm.
and it's really incredible, right? So we all come from source. We are all source. But even what's really fascinating is, I make jewelry. I love jewelry. I love gemstones. So how I think about it is everybody is their own gemstone,
Oh, I
and
like.
everybody's their own unique color and cut,
Hmm.
and brings something really special to, the fabric of the beautiful, if you were to imagine like this beautiful tapestry of beautiful gemstones, it's kind of like that, where everybody has their own gift and they can tap into that unique part of themselves, but it's still bringing back to source. It's still bringing them all and all of us connected back to each other. But yeah, but it's really, and working with people, it is really like trying to find their unique special gift, to understand that gift in order to help them reclaim it.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
love that the image of the gemstones.
Yeah.
Everybody's their special gemstone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's beautiful. So, and so many people are talking about, we're headed towards a new earth. I was just wondering, like, how do you see feminine power being part of that, or do you see it being part of that?
I see it being a huge part of it,
Hmm.
quite frankly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I see it again, like with both men and women,
Hmm.
being able to come together and being able to manifest and create together.
Hmm.
And how powerful is that? And I don't mean just manifesting that, you're rich in one life or something like that, but I mean like manifesting on such a large scale that
Hmm.
it's like healing the planet,
Right.
healing each other,
Yeah.
becoming closer to source,
Hmm.
that kind of manifestation. And I absolutely see divine power playing a huge role in that.
Yep. Because it's about creation and healing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I think about like the power that I felt in that experience that we talked about earlier, it's just amazing to think of people coming together and their individual powers just uniting so much together for the good of one another. How has your personal connection to feminine power influenced your own journey or even your worldview?
I would say profoundly in every single way. I mean, yeah. I mean, back to sixth grade, I write that crazy paper.
Yeah.
you know. And then the other part of the paper I remember was a sexuality part of the paper. I got an A on the paper, by the way. But it was basically like, women are a little bit like the car. Like think about a Porsche. And we can do all these amazing things, and we can look cool or have all different things that we have that we bring to the table, and it could be women, it could be men, it could be anybody.
Hmm.
I'm saying women just because this was my experience, this is my personal experience. The first thing that I did was give the keys to a guy. I gave away my power immediately. I was young, to any guy. They didn't know how to drive the car, they didn't know what to do with the car. They had no idea. And then, of course, then they'd be like, take the keys. I don't know what we're doing here. And then it was sort of realizing that I needed to take the keys and I needed to drive the car, and they could get in the car, but really it was up to me. So I would say that in terms of understanding the feminine power, I would say that I understood that at a very young age. And that has colored literally everything about my life.
Hmm.
Everything. So my motto has always been in terms of, if there's something you don't like about your life, actively change it.
Hmm.
Because while you are still here, you have the option and the agency to change anything, whether it's something about yourself or your life or your job or your family or whatever it is. And when I say change in terms of like other people, really what I mean is changing your own, how you are in the world and how you view the world. So basically, there's the world and there's what we tell ourselves about the world. So if you wake up and you tell yourself every day is going to be horrible, then what you're going to experience and what you're putting out there is every day is going to be horrible. And I say all the time, shit happens, and then it's how we decide to deal with it. It's how we decide to react to it. And it's what we tell ourselves about it. We have a constant monologue in our own heads all the time about how we think of everything. And then it's getting into the practice of understanding of, wait a minute, what did I tell myself that, something happened, there was a trigger, and then I reacted this way. What did I tell myself just before that happened or just after that happened that made me feel a certain way or react a certain way? And it's taking responsibility for that. So you're taking responsibility for yourself and how you move through the world and how you vibrate with other people. And that is the act of absolutely owning your divine power
Hmm.
and your feminine power.
Yeah, and it's really taking the time to self-reflect and be aware
Right.
of your own
Absolutely.
story and monologue in your head.
And then once you change that, other people can't help but change how they are with you,
Right.
because that's how it's a dance.
Hmm.
Like that's how it works.
Hmm. In going back, I loved that analogy of the car and giving away the keys. Who doesn't want to drive a Porsche, like a Porsche, right? Like when you have the keys, the joy or even the power or excitement from driving the Porsche, right? Or
Yes,
driving
yes,
our own life
yes.
when we're
Yeah,
connected to our own power, right?
yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Do you do anything specific yourself to help cultivate or like stay in touch with that power? Is it meditation,
yeah.
journaling, or?
It's meditation and affirmation. When I was younger, it was also journaling. It is 100% meditation, affirmation, and self-reflection. And on the daily. And when I work with clients, I constantly say, if I'm giving you these affirmations and I want you to say them out loud every day,
Mhm.
at least once a day.
Yeah.
But it's really just, being mindful every day.
So, what I'm sensing is, as we're talking about feminine power, we're also talking about men and women having their own car keys, right? Driving their own Porsche. I feel like this is a time of definitely feminine power
Oh, yeah.
coming up in this new earth, but also a time of just general empowerment. People feeling that sense of empowerment that they might have felt they lost. I feel like this is a time where it's starting to uh, have this focus, or even a need to have this focus, to realize the power that we all have.
Absolutely. And I think that, and it's sad, but it's true. I mean, I think so many people are feeling powerless and then realizing that they really do need to go in. They have to go inward in order to be able to find that power again, reclaim that power so that they're able to really vibrate at a level that they want to be vibrating at.
Yeah. And I feel when people are feeling powerless, it's almost a calling. The more powerless you feel, the more the need to go in, but also the more powerless you feel, the more powerful you actually can feel. People get
Yeah,
caught up not realizing you can just have the exact opposite of that. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's an opportunity. I mean, a lot of times,
Mhm.
every roadblock is really a moment for an opportunity for you to look at something a little bit differently.
Right. And it's just having the courage because a lot of times people feel very fearful when they feel powerless, and that takes them in the wrong direction. If you feel this powerless, then it's time to figure out how can you feel so much more power? How can you feel your power?
Absolutely. I say to my kids all the time, any decision out of fear is ultimately doomed. It's a little bit like, you're on the hamster wheel. Any
Yeah.
decision out of fear just brings you right back to fear.
Yeah, you're very reactive.
Yeah.
So, speaking of getting in touch with feminine power, how about you bring us through a meditation that helps us connect to that feminine power within each of us?
So a lot of what I do in terms of, as you know, the different meditative things is it's all about visualization and it's all about using your imagination. All of the meditations that I do are basically just using your childhood imagination to help you along the journey. That's it. So basically, the first thing I generally do when I do a meditation is I have people get in touch with the part of the brain that they'll use for their imagination. So the first thing I do is I ask people to close their eyes and take a deep meditative breath from the belly, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And a meditative breath, you always feel the belly rise. And the first small little thing to, as a, just a getting started, is I have someone picture a banana. Get the picture of a banana in your imagination. Everybody knows what a banana looks like. It could be a group of bananas or one banana, and you are basically just conjuring that banana in your head and noticing whatever you notice about the banana. And that is the part of the brain that you use to do creative visualization and to do visualization through meditation. So once we've seen the banana, we can go ahead and let that go and take another nice deep breath in, filling up the belly. We're then going to imagine a soft, glowing mist surrounding you. I want you to imagine that this mist is shimmering with hues of silver and gold, alive with pure energy. Imagine that it is warm and inviting and safe, like a cocoon that carries you beyond the confines of time and space. And as you breathe, feel yourself floating gently within this beautiful, radiant space, free from the weight of the physical world. And just know that this is your sacred space, where the divine feminine, the divine power awaits you. Now, I'm going to set a scene, and I want you to visualize, bring into your imagination, yourself stepping into a lush, timeless garden. Just imagine that the air hums with life, the scent of blooming flowers. You can smell all around you. Notice the vibrant colors. See flowers in shades that maybe you've never seen before in real life. This is your imagination, where creation flows freely. See these beautiful flowers glowing softly with divine light. This garden is at the heart of divine feminine energy, an eternal place where creation begins, boundless love resides, and healing is ever abundant. You are safe here, surrounded by the purest energy of the universe. I want you to imagine in the center of the garden that there is a pool of liquid light. Its surface is calm, yet it reflects the stars and the infinite cosmos. Step closer to the pool and see a figure rising from its depths, a form made of swirling light and shadow, gentle yet powerful. This is the divine feminine, eternal, boundless. As you gaze upon her, feel her presence, not through sight, but through an energy that fills every cell of your being. Feel the energy of warmth, compassion, and power. She sees you as you truly are. Imagine she extends a hand towards you and light flows from her fingertips right to you, to the heart of you. Feel the wisdom, feel the love, and feel that power. As you reach out to touch her hand, feel all of that energy pouring into you, filling every fiber of your being. This energy is creative, intuitive, graceful, powerful, and it flows through you, igniting your inner knowing. In this moment, you are one with her. You are the creator, the source of endless possibilities. This is the true essence of the divine feminine within you. Take a moment and a few breaths just to feel what this feels like. Just accept any guidance or visions or feelings or colors or anything that she is imparting to you in this moment. In the center of your chest now, I want you to imagine a glowing lotus flower. See its petals begin to unfold, each one releasing waves of love and compassion and wisdom. With each petal, your connection to the divine feminine grows stronger, her wisdom and power guiding your thoughts, her strength empowering your actions. And just allow yourself to feel the deep sense of knowing that arises from within you. In your mind, you can say the affirmations: I am powerful. I am intuitive. I am creation itself. Just let these words sink into your being and really feel them emanating through all of your cells. Once again, just tapping into that in this moment to feel any divine guidance there. Allow any messages to come and flow. Now slowly begin to allow the garden to fade, but know that the light of the lotus within your heart remains. The mist gently carries you back to the present moment, grounding your body here and now. Feel the earth beneath you, the air around you, and know that the essence of the divine feminine power is with you always. Feel that powerful energy of creation within you as it manifests into your intuition, your creativity, and boundless strength. And you can say one final affirmation in your head. I carry the divine feminine within me always. I honor this sacred power in myself and in all beings. And just know that this beautiful power is never far. It's always within you. You carry it with you, and it really only needs to be recognized to flourish. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, good.
What's the affirmation, the one that said, I am creation itself?
Yeah, yeah.
So powerful. And then how you ended it too, even with in the lotus, um, felt really nice. And also how you ended it about, connecting to the feminine, divine feminine within, but also seeing it in others. It's so important. Like we're really here to raise each other up and
Absolutely. Yeah, I
see the
totally
beauty of
think
one
so too.
another and the power of one another too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Oh,
you.
good. I'm glad you liked it.
Thanks. Um, so as we begin to come to a close, just recapping, we're talking about how you do, customized meditations and affirmations for people, and I'm assuming it's remote as well as in person. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah,
Great.
yeah. There's some that I work with just over the phone, and then some that I work with in person, and some that I work with Maria. So it's, all over the place
Okay.
in
And then
all.
we're just talking about how it just really seems to be a time where we're being called to get in touch. What doesn't matter what your gender is, but or your beliefs. It's really just getting in touch with that feminine power within you. We all have it, and it's a time to get in touch within you and come together as well, and
Yeah,
unite that feminine as well as masculine, the balance,
yeah.
uniting
It's
that within
absolutely,
ourselves
yeah,
and one another. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, and so, if people would like to reach you, how could they get in touch with you?
Um, so you can get in touch with me. There's an email, calmmeditation888 at gmail.com.
I'll write that in the description too as well. So thank you so much, Susan, for
Yeah.
joining. I really appreciate it. It was a really interesting conversation with you.
Good. I really enjoyed it too. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And I love how we're matching.
I
It was meant to
know.
be.
I know.
Maybe we're in touch with our feminine power with
I
each
guess
other.
so. I guess so. Yeah.
So thank you
Yeah.
everyone so much for joining us. Please, if you like it, please give us a like and subscribe to help us get seen even more, as I think this is so important for people to see and hear about how important it is to get in touch with that feminine power, how to reclaim it, really, because it's within us, and we've been taught that we don't have it even through history, and really getting in touch with that feminine power that we have, just waiting to be tapped into.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us on Life Guidance from Beyond. We appreciate your listening. And don't forget to subscribe.